Hey guys, welcome back to Prayer and Paddle. I recorded a devotion this morning. I read some careless and irresponsible remarks on social media regarding the coming election. Just hours later, during the recording of November 3rd's daily reading, I read Job chapter 32, and this message came over me like a ton of bricks. I didn't set it up very well. I didn't do any additional research, finding more verses to support these ideas. But as soon as I was done with the daily reading, I jumped right in and started recording again. A substantial amount of this recording is my opinion based on principles I have come to know to be true, based not only on my life experiences, but also on the lessons I've learned during my journey reading the Bible. And you can disagree with me if you'd like. That's okay. We can have different opinions here. And I think it's very important to have different opinions. But there's this pervasive idea going around, it's running rampant in our society, that nobody can disagree with you for any honest reason. And if someone does disagree with you, then you think that they are somehow blind to facts or intellectually inferior to you. So I felt compelled to bring this message to help combat that. I hope that's what this will do. So again, be critical, disagree with me, but be respectful. All right, here it comes. All right, guys. I guess I'll try to explain what I said about Job. Job 32 being timely, given the fact we're nearing an election. It's not necessarily the election that brought this on, but people's opinions surrounding the election. I was on Facebook this morning before I left the house. I saw a particularly opinionated statement. And I was not impressed, I guess, but it did impress upon me a basic truth about humanity, and that is that we have this habit, or our sinful nature leads us to justify ourselves rather than God. And in Job, well, all throughout Job, we hear of Job's great riches, and just he has a great life, and he's a faithful man, extremely faithful and righteous. Satan goes to God and said that this man's only righteous because you're good to him. If he had to suffer, he wouldn't be righteous anymore. So we hear of Satan. God says, "Oh yes, he would." He has complete confidence in Job. So Satan goes, and God allows Satan to go and really mess things up for Job and take everything that he has, and I mean everything. And then, of course, Job remains faithful. Satan says, well, if he were afflicted by terrible pain, suffering, then he wouldn't be. So, again, God allows Satan to go and torment Job, and just afflict him with the worst pain imaginable. There's boils all over him. It feels as if his flesh is being torn from his bones. I can't imagine the pain that this man was in. Though my interpretation of the reading, or my understanding of the reading, I do believe that he has remained faithful, but he does throughout these past few chapters, as he's speaking to his friends. He is justifying himself. He says that he has been righteous and faithful. He's questioning why God is doing this to him rather than justifying God, or questioning why God has allowed this to happen. And then we have Elihu. Elihu steps in. After all, he's the youngest of this group of men who are being discussed here. So he did not want to speak out of turn to be disrespectful, but once all of them have finished speaking, and he's not happy that they finished speaking, because the men who should be defending God to Job, or justifying God to Job, reproving him, rebuking him, allowing him to see the error of his ways, they remain quiet because, as stated, Job was righteous in his own eyes, and I feel that the other men who were initially trying to reprove him, I think that they thought that it was kind of a losing battle. They thought that anything that they said wouldn't be heard by Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. So then Elihu, and he explains his wrath was kindled, and he explains how he was feeling about that. Well, we'll talk about that. So his wrath was kindled against Job because he justified himself rather than God, and it was kindled against these others because they had given no answer. They had given no answer back to Job and his self-righteousness. And he said, and let's go back to the political conversation we were having for a moment. So, self-righteousness is such a common theme around politics. And I think that's just the nature of politics. And it's almost rewarded in our society, self-righteousness. It's almost rewarded, especially when shown by a politician, or even within groups. If you come out with your self-righteous opinion about a particular political candidate, it is rewarded and championed by those who agree with you. And in our society, the political climate has become so bifurcated, and that means split into two. It's bifurcated, there's only two options. It's split into two. And extremes, there's nothing in the middle. So it has become so bifurcated that there is no middle ground. You are either for one candidate or the other. There are no centrists. There's a few here and there, but by and large, the bell curve that you would normally see of, one candidate's on one side, one candidate's on the other, and the people who support them make up this bell curve, and there are extremes of people who fully support one and fully oppose the other, and vice versa. And then the majority of the population should be falling in the top of that bell curve, where they could sway one way or the other. And what has happened in recent decades politically is, with all of the, I guess I won't say why I think that this is happening yet, but the bell curve has turned upside down. Now it's the minority of the population
who could go either direction. And the only reason that they could go either direction is because they're ignorant of the issues at hand, or they're ignorant of the candidates and their standpoints. Legitimately, there is a break in our societal values to where people don't understand what they value anymore. There is no set moral code as there is in the Bible. I guess we don't even have to talk about the morality of the Bible. I think that morality is objective. It's something that we all should have. It's something that was given us in our conscience by God. I believe that it is well outlined in the Bible, and you don't necessarily need the Bible to feel it, to know what is right and wrong. But being a human and having free will, you can reject it, and a lot of people do. And that has become blatantly obvious to me, especially in recent years. But I think I'm kind of getting off track here. The fact is, this Facebook post that I saw, this political post, it touted a particular political candidate. Well, that's not true. I'm lying about it. It wasn't necessarily to tout or be in support of one candidate, but it was to slander and defame who they oppose. And the things that were being said, I don't know the validity. I don't know the facts behind those things. That person doesn't either. It's obvious because every single statement made was clearly an opinion. There were no facts in there, empirical facts. There was no empirical data whatsoever. It was entirely opinion. But it was all from things that they've been fed, information that they've received, things that... And here's the problem. The people, in their self-righteousness, we're all being flooded with information all of the time. And our self-righteous nature that comes along with our sinful nature, it kind of forces us or makes us want to only absorb the information that agrees with our presuppositions, our preconceived notions. And we can take that to an absolute extreme point. So you have these people on both sides of this upside down bell curve that only believe in their candidate, only believe in the righteousness of their candidate, and believe that the other is absolutely evil. And I firmly believe that if all of the information was taken in, that reality would lie a little bit closer to the middle. And we used to know that as a society. We used to know that we showed preferential treatment based on our own values and opinions, and I think you should vote your values. Definitely vote your values. Be informed, be educated, vote your values. But aside from that, we used to know that the truth lay somewhere in the middle. Now, the truth is only what justifies our opinion. And that is us justifying ourselves rather than God. I think we could all, even the people who happen to agree with me and my preference for a political candidate, I think we all really owe it to ourselves to take a step back and understand that there are other positions than the extreme. And if we do maintain our extreme position, it drives a wedge right down the center of that upside down bell curve, and we are forever separated from our brothers and sisters on the other side of the aisle. I'm not even saying that there is a lot of common ground here, because I do believe that there is a lot of evil on the other side, and I'm not going to say what the other side is. This isn't about my opinion. This is about biblical truths. This is about truth in general, and the truth is, we don't know everything. And the truth is that our sinful nature makes us want to justify ourselves rather than God, and that desire to justify ourselves rather than God leads us to consume only the information that confirms our presuppositions and makes us feel good. So we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to God, we owe it to each other to question our sinful nature, to question our self-righteousness, to question one another. Healthy debate, the sharing of opinions, especially opposing opinions, is very important. It used to be very important. It still is very important. We just don't do it like we used to. It always turns into an argument, fueled by anger, because we're being challenged. And that can be a whole other sermon in and of itself. But Elihu talks about the way that he's feeling, and it's kind of the way that I'm feeling right now, and it's why I'm talking right now. He said, all right, I'll just read a few verses here. So, after the others had finished speaking and he feels that it is his turn, he says, I will answer also my part. I also will show mine opinion. For I am full of matter, the spirit within me constraineth me. Behold, my belly is as wine which hath no vent. It is ready to burst like new bottles. I will speak, that I may be refreshed. I will open my lips and answer. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person, neither let me give flattering titles unto man. For I know not to give flattering titles. In so doing, my Maker would soon take me away. And there's a lot going on right there. There's a couple different things, but we're going to talk about the one primarily. The way you feel when you don't share your opinion, you feel it, and what happens to wine when there's no vent? That fermentation process produces a lot of excess gas and pressure. If it's in a container that will swell, it will get very large until it reaches a breaking point. And his belly, which is when we have something to say and we don't say it, we feel it in the pits of our stomachs. That is our conscience saying, get it out. And as Christians, you can say it's once the Holy Spirit has moved in, the Holy Spirit will convict us in much the same way. If we do not speak, we will burst. And I think the absence of healthy conversation has led to a buildup of pressure, so that when a conversation does happen, it immediately turns volatile. There's so much pressure built up that it's released all at once. It comes out as anger, and nobody gains. that nobody has learned anything, it has not been a step forward. It has only served to decrease your cause in the other's eyes and solidify their views about you and your beliefs. And though, yes, I think Elihu did the right thing waiting his turn as to be heard properly, he let it build up too much, as we all do. And with that, I guess we'll leave it at that. I think I said what I needed to say. We're not going to unpack the rest of those verses because it's going to take this in another direction. I just really think this is very relevant. Let's focus on justifying God, not ourselves. Vote your values, and when you express, well, when you contemplate what your decision is, or what the outcomes may be, what the values actually are that are being discussed, get out of your own self-righteousness. Do not justify yourself or accept only the information that justifies yourself and your belief. Try to take in all the information, analyze it, compare it. Do not assume that your neighbor is evil because they believe differently than you, but assume that they are a sinner as you are, and have allowed their self-righteousness to manipulate the information that comes into them, to filter the information that they choose to acknowledge, just as you have, as we all have. And love one another. Have peaceful, calm discussion. And discuss things in terms of fact and truth, first and foremost. And bring your opinions in. Sure, definitely bring your opinions in without open, honest conversation and the sharing of opinions. We don't get anywhere. But acknowledge them as opinions and leave room for debate. If you don't leave room to challenge your own beliefs, then nobody with opposing beliefs will ever listen to you. They will do the exact same thing. They will not leave room to challenge their beliefs or for you to challenge their beliefs. And conversation will regress, and it will take you to a terrible place. So, I'm going to be done. I actually spoke way too long, and I am going to be late getting home. But I love you all. God bless you. Vote your values. Thank you for joining me. And have a great day.